Hey y'all, it's your girl Michelle Lenae. I am the founder of Christ Over Culture, and welcome back to another episode. We are talking about and featuring people just like you today. Genise is an actress, she is an entrepreneur, and she is a TikTok sensation. So you may have come across her videos, and if you have not, go ahead and hit follow right now. It's Genise because she is so funny. She's such a light and she just brings so much joy to my timeline and so many others. So, Genise, welcome to Christ Over Culture.
Listen, first off, I'm just happy to be here. Michelle, I am just so honored when I tell y'all this this invitation to come do this right here. I haven't done an interview or spoken to anybody, but I said, "Oh no, 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 no. This is the platform. If I make space for anything, it's going to be this platform and Michelle, okay?"
Oh, I love
Yes.
you, Genise. I've known Genise literally since sixth grade, and I've just been excited to see your growth as a friend and as a fan, seeing you be an actress in LA, New York, and then even switching and hitting your stride to TikTok. So, I am going to give you the floor because I know so many people are on TikTok and they want to know, how did you do it? What was your journey to getting here? Please let the people know a little bit about your background story and how you ended up where you are today.
So I am from St. Louis, so that's where Michelle and I met. And growing up, I never really felt at home in St. Louis. I've never felt at home anywhere, but I feel like there wasn't an emphasis on the arts, the performing arts. And I found it a little bit with different spaces. Like there was a place called Coca where I would go to summer camp and different things. But I took a commercial class in, I think it was either high school or middle school. And the lady was like, you need to go to Chicago. Well, I was like, Chicago's too close to St. Louis. No. So applying for colleges, I went to SLU, graduated, and I made a deal with my parents and I said, if I graduate from SLU, can I go to LA to be an actor? And they were like, yeah. So I said, okay, cool. I graduated a year early and went to school in LA at AMDA. So that's the American Musical and Dramatic Academy. I won't touch on that too much. But to me, it was like, that's the way that I can get to LA. Free housing was included in the tuition, but I didn't have enough money because I was fresh out of college. So it was like, how can I get there and make it make sense? So I went to AMDA, Performing Arts School. In the middle of my second semester, they come to me and they're like, hey, there's not enough people for your class. You have to go to New York. I did not want to go to New York. So I go to New York and I was fighting tooth and nail the whole time there. I had literally had a paper on my wall like counting down the days to be gone from New York. And I still have that paper. And it was just like, I don't want to be here. But I did the stuff and really found a lot in acting up there. And it really grew me to a place of independence, but also seeing that acting isn't just solely on the stage. You can do so much with it and you can take it and make it work for you. So then the Lord brought me back to St. Louis and I was real upset about that because I was like, no. But at the time, I was always like, seeing, because they tell you to look at who, like someone, like a famous person or whoever, because in acting, a famous person or successful person, and see their journey. And you see people like Taraji, Octavia Spencer, these people that move out to LA with no money and they make it big. And so I'm like, okay, cool. Let me stack my money and then I can get back out to LA. So I moved back out to LA with about $10,000. And I worked three jobs and was putting my head down, making the money. Got back out here and child, when I tell you that money was gone so quick, and I was like, what am I gonna do? And the only thing I knew was like go to school to make connections. So since I wasn't going to school, I just started to do background work. And that's what actors do out here. And I was kind of making connections, but my parents were always like, you need a job because you just ain't gonna be out there on the streets. So I started to work at Warner Brothers as a tour guide. And it was like, wow, the Lord brought me to a studio, literally Warner Brothers studio, where they made the Jamie Foxx show. That was filmed there. Right now they have the Abbott Elementary, but at the time, like these incredible names living single were filmed on these lots. So I'm like, okay, Lord, this is gonna be my break, because I was like, I always knew I was just gonna be walking somewhere and somebody was gonna be like, I need you for the movie. Child, no, that was not it. So I'm there and I'm there and at the time in my faith journey, when I was in school, the first time I was out here, I went to a church. I ain't gonna name the church. And it was great. When I moved back out here, I went to that church, and something in me was like, the spirit is not something in my spirit said get up and go. And the people I went with, I was like, I'll see y'all in the car. Something in my spirit is like, no. So I since then I haven't had a church home out here, but I in 2013 had a refresh. And at 2012 I moved out here the first time in 2013, but I had a refresh of like, I need to study the Bible for myself, because when I get up there and, God, not me saying there like that, when I get up there and the Lord is like, well, let's break it down, I can't be like, well, so and so said this, so and so said that. So that was the point when I started to really read the Bible for myself. So I started to kind of get back into my word, and I was reading the story of Daniel. No, it was David. Child, look at me. Now I ain't the best with the scriptures, but it was
You good,
David.
girl. This is a safe space. This is what we're here for.
it
Yes.
was it was David,
Mm.
and how he got taken to the king, the palace, or whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah, they always say from the pit to the palace.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And to show him what he could get. And then, okay, so I'm at Warner Brothers like, okay, I see what you're doing, Lord. You had to bring me here so I could see the environment. And y'all know all these stories are coming out about different things in Hollywood and different things. So I appreciate having to have gone to New York and then having to go to Warner Brothers just as a tour guide, because there's so much that's going on in life. The tour guide position is the last place, but I see I was being brought to these places so I could see before I could be in it. And I
Ooh, that's
appreciate
a
the Lord
word.
for that,
Hmm.
because if I would have got in it the way that I wanted to, there are a lot of people that I know that when I first started school, when I came to Hollywood, because the school that I was at is literally in Hollywood and Vine, at that intersection, school's right there. And
Oh
so,
wow.
and everybody, when I first came out there, they were like, "Oh, you going to the devil's playground?" You know, and having being brought but not being able to get into the entry, be let in, just being at the fence, it saved me so much. There's so many people I know that fell victim to all the stuff that we seeing now, that fell victim to a lot of that stuff. So being at Warner Brothers as a tour guide, and I'm talking about these movies, and I remember seeing Jenna Fisher, she's from St. Louis, she was on The Office, and I was like, yeah, she's from St. Louis, and just telling these people, and she was like, "Oh, you're from St. Louis? Oh my gosh!" And it just meant something to me, and it just gave me. But I got fed up with the job, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like, like I ain't doing what I want to do, and I'm telling these people about these other people, and I want to act. And one of my managers, she was like, you have a type of personality where people are going to ask for your tour. They're going to come and they're going to say, we want a tour from this tour guide. And it got to the point where that did happen. And so I'm like, okay, hold on now. This is my little stage right here. But I lost sight of what the Lord brought me there for. And I decided to take a acting class with Dustin Felder, rest in peace. And I remember the first class I got in there, and I was like, oh, well, I'm kind of shy, and I came out here to act. And he ripped me to shreds and was like, girl, who you lying to? You ain't shy. You just, and I went home crying, and I was like, I'm never going back to that class. But I paid my money, so I'm like, I'm gonna go back to the class. And he would keep saying these different things like, you gonna set some stage, you're gonna be a pioneer in some way. And I'm like, okay, sure, I just want to be on a Raven, the next Raven or something like that. And I had mentioned, oh, I want to have a talk show. And he was like, well, why don't you just do it? And I'm like, came up with every excuse in the book. Then he was like, well, just do it. Then I went to an interview or a meeting with the agent, and I had never had one before, and I was just so like, what do I need to do? And the lady was like, you're funny, but you're not Tiffany Haddish funny, and you're not Melissa McCarthy funny. So we don't really know what to do with you. And I was just like, thank you. Okay, maybe. And so then she said, start creating your own content. So I'm over here like, well, I ain't got no camera, I ain't got this and da da da. So I started, and I just started with my phone and put my phone up, and the show was called The Jump Off, and it started to be not about the views or the people, but I ain't gonna lie to y'all, I was like, dang, I ain't got no views on this, maybe I should hang it up. But it started to be my way to release. I felt way more comfortable to talk to that camera than to talk to other people. It was like my form of therapy, although I was going to therapy, but it was like my way to really, nobody was judging me. So then that was 2018. Fast forward, Instagram, I started to get some traction. This was kind of around a little after the pandemic, but I had all these plans of like, oh, the pandemic hit, I can do this, I can do that. And I started just making videos because I said to myself, it can't go viral if it's not there. Nobody can watch it and make it go viral if it ain't there to watch. So I told myself, I'm gonna start doing 2 videos a week. Then I upped it to 3 videos. And I ain't gonna lie to you, it's a lot. It's a lot of planning. I am not organized like that. But I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna hold myself to that. And I had a video about the Little Mermaid, and it took off. And the one with the new one, and it took off. And I think on Instagram it had maybe like 2 million views. And then on TikTok, because at the time I was like, ain't nobody fooling with no TikTok. I done heard all the stuff. I said, I'm not a TikTok person. It got 4 million views. And so I was like, let me skedaddle over here on TikTok. So whatever I posted on Instagram, I would just occasionally post on TikTok as it was. And then I had a pudding video where it was like, the proof is in the pudding. And that really took off. Then I had a video about not wanting to go, when I go back home, not wanting to stay there long and come. And so I started to see the success. And then fast forward to last year, October 2024, I had been in cosmetology school and I quit school. I literally, something in my spirit was like, no, you got to go. And the next day I said, well, let me try this TikTok shop thing. I think I had about 7,000 views or 7,000 followers. And I think at the time you needed 5,000 for TikTok shop. So I said, let me just see what the TikTok shop is. So I got on TikTok shop, but I was denied the first time because you have to apply for it. So I was denied. So I was like, well, hold on now. So I just responded back with like, why am I denied? I meet the requirements. Then they came back and they said, oh, you're approved. So then you have to have products. So I kind of didn't know. I don't really read stuff, so I didn't really know how it worked. So I found one product that will give you a free sample. So I got it. It was a phone charger, literally like the size of your phone charger. And they sent it to me. And the very first video I made, I was sitting in the car in Lamert Park, and I was just like, y'all need this charger. It has 2 things on the back or whatever. No script, no nothing. And it went viral. And so much so that I wasn't prepared for it. And I saw the money start coming in, and I was just like, okay, you know what? This might be the thing. And so I just started requesting other products and getting into it, and kind of, I'd say within 2 to 3 weeks, just because I was so like fascinated with, I'm making content off of something that I use and y'all are paying me for it. I know you lying. So I just leaned into it. It was around Black Friday, so I just really leaned into it. Then I got accepted into, the Creator Rewards program, where if you have 10,000 followers, any content that you make that's over a minute long, they pay you for it. So I'm like, oh, y'all gonna pay me just to make a minute long? So I'm just on this camera just talking about anything for a minute. And it really set into me like, the stuff can't go viral if it's not there. And people are like, how did you do it? How did you do it? It was God. I ain't gonna tell you it. And it still is God, because I literally was filming myself every day, like day one of trusting God and living in whatever purpose he has for me today, and literally was making those videos. And then the TikTok shop thing went off. And right now I'm in like a reset where it's like, what is my purpose and what is my passion? And if it is creating content, Lord, can you order my content to be more in line with the purpose that you have for me? So I've kind of scaled back a little bit on my content. Before I was just doing anything was content at that point. And it really is about the intention that you have behind making the content, because people can feel that. And I'm at that place now where the more content that I make, the more I am letting it go to God. The views might not be what it is, and I still get good views, but I might have a video that has like 200 views, and somebody will comment and say, wow, I needed this today. And I'm like, that's crazy. Because I know how it does for me watching content. So that's where I am right now. I know that was a long way, but that's where we are right now.
That was so good, Genise. And I'm really glad that you shared one. Thank you for sharing that and your journey, because I think oftentimes we see a highlight reel, or we see like, wow, she has 21,000 followers and going up, and she has, 4 million views on her video, but we don't know really what you described was like a decade, even like a little over a decade long journey. So I think that it's important that we hear that, because, and I posted this week, it's so interesting that you talked about intention. It's like the intention behind your content and like being in alignment with your purpose and God, I think is first and foremost, like it's primary. And sometimes we literally have to kind of throw things at the wall to find our way, to come back to that and to reset. And we will reset again, and we will reset again. So I'm just glad that you took us through the journey and the story so that people can see, like, you started out in school and in acting school, and there are ups and downs. There will be times when you way up. And then there's times when you're down and you're like rethinking your entire life. Like, what is going on here?
Yes.
So it's important for people to know that it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I think you just described that so beautifully. So I'm curious, as you're talking about, just realigning with your purpose and like what type of content do you want to make now?
I don't exactly know because I really, chat, when I tell y'all the last month has been full of breakdowns, and I mean, like, we at the end of the rope kind of breakdowns, not just about content, but just life. I've always been on go, go, go. I've never rested. Like, I don't know how to rest. I've never had deep spirit rests. And that's what I know I need right now. And so I think when it comes to the content that I want to create, I too had a talk show, like I was saying, and I stopped that about 2 years ago. But I kind of want to bring something like that back, but make it content. I want my content to highlight, and I like that you said it in the beginning that, people just starting out, because I have purchased all the digital ebooks and all the different things and all the planners and stuff, and nothing really stuck for me. I got little things here and there, but nothing has really stuck for me. And then I look at people and I'm like, well, how did they get there? And they could tell me, well, they did this, this, and this. But then I'm like, well, how? And so I want to do a lot of, and I am trying to do more vulnerable content. And it could be, where it's, I don't wear makeup, but where it could be, hair is a mess, or like the non-traditional. Because when you look at Instagram and even when you look at TikTok, people look perfect, and then they could be sitting there talking about, oh, I'm struggling, but it's like, you struggling in your Bentley with the, embroidered seats and stuff. And just to really, I want the content that I make moving forward to be more authentic. Not that it wasn't before, but to really be like, look, y'all, I don't know what's going on. The Lord is bringing me through this, and to show that, like you said, everybody's not perfect, and that somebody who is struggling with mental health issues as I am, it's not just gonna be glitz and glam. Most of the time it's gonna be rough. And I just started listening to this podcast, and a lot of the things that they were talking about, it really seems so no brainer, but it's like, reward yourself and be happy for yourself that you did these simple things, because not everybody knows that they're simple. And I want to bring a highlight to that, because I just, especially with content creation, it's hard. It is really hard. And for me to say, yeah, I'm doing this full time, I want to expose, not expose, but pull the curtain back and say, y'all, like, yeah, people see that I'm making money and they always see me on their timeline. You always see me on the timeline because it's a thing that I have to do, where, there's different like requirements that you have to do, like make 20 videos in 3 days. That's y'all. I want to show y'all me breaking my neck, throwing stuff against the wall, like trying to do this. So I just want to make more authentic and more vulnerable content, whatever it may be, comedy, TikTok shop, whatever, and just have fun, because the world is so hard and there's so much going on. So I just want to, something that people can relate to, because although I feel like I connect with people to some degree, I feel like I don't really connect with people that well. And that's something that's sitting with me. And so I want to create content that people can watch and don't feel alone. That's where I am.
I really love that, and that's a beautiful thing. What you were describing to me kind of sounds like a rat race, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but because really social media is our new TV,
Yeah.
we get like over things really quickly. It's like they're
Mm-hmm.
short bursts
Mm-hmm.
and we want more, we're consuming, like we're not waiting, just like in
Yeah.
traditional TV. And I know both of us, have a background in that. You're not waiting 1 week for the next episode and then the next week for the next episode, just like traditional sitcoms and shows.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at something and literally in seconds it's old. So
Yeah.
I think there needs to be a larger conversation about giving grace to creators, because I just think about how we were not operated to put out content every single day. We were not operated to literally supply an app with content every single day. And I would almost like to see creators do seasons. I know that we do seasons of podcasts, but when it comes to TV shows, they do seasons. When it comes to award shows, they're
Yeah.
annually. Like people need breaks. I think about writers' rooms and things of that nature. Like there's a season of Abbott Elementary. They
Yeah.
go on break and then they come back and then you're able to get refreshed and you're able to take the mental health, physical health, emotional health. Like that's why they build in vacations even for regular jobs because they know the science behind it is when employees rest, they're able to come back rejuvenated and things like that. And I'm sure there are people out there, HR specialists, who know the details way better than me, but the concept is still the same. We can't expect our favorite creators, love them, love seeing them on our timeline, love seeing you on our timeline, but giving them grace so that we're able to kind of have that ebb and flow, like, oh, my new show is out, i.e.
Hmm.
Genise. Oh, Genise is back on, or so and so is back on. And I feel like we need to normalize that in our culture a little bit. I'm curious what your thoughts are, being, such a high volume producer and creator. But those are some of the things that I am thinking about.
No, I like that. That's a good season structure because I do see a lot of a few videos where people are like, "Yeah, I'm going on break." And then I'm in a lot of these communities with the TikTok shop stuff where people are like, "I need a break." And it's like, but the desperation of sounding at the end of the rope is what is coming across in all of the conversations. And I understand that because I have been working on fumes and for a good long time, and so I understand that, like, you're just crying out for a break and for a rest, but you feel like, if I miss this day, then my sales are going to plummet or my views are going to plummet. And I've had to be forced into taking a break because I couldn't. I've been having these like dizzy spells, and so I couldn't create anything, so nothing got posted and everything was okay. And even though I know
That
everything was
part.
okay, I was like, nah, some's probably gonna get messed up with the algorithm down the way. But I do think within the creator space, creators themselves, I think we need to accept that it is okay to take a break. I think the grace from the viewers, that's great, but I think the general consistent consensus among us is that we can't take a break because if we do, the algorithm's going to fail or we're going to miss out on this brand deal or whatever. And so there's people, it's like taboo to be like, you took a break. You gonna take a break? You're not gonna post nothing today? Girl, I don't know about that. And then you see big time creators come to this point. Even like people with music and different, they have these moments where it's like they exhaust themselves. And you can't get to that kind of place. And I'm speaking from experience because I am in that right now. I got to that kind of place and I still have the same mindset that I had back there, which is that cognitive dissonance. I'm not operating, and that's why I'm not going nowhere. I'm in this circle because I'm not understanding that, just like you said, every other job needs rest. We were built to have rest. The Lord rested on that
Okay.
on that day. And it's in that good book, that rest. And I just started this devotional yesterday about getting deep spiritual rest, and how that, like, we don't need, yeah, lay your head on the pillow, but your spirit needs rest as the Lord needed rest. We are made in his image, so we got to get rest. And I'm somebody, I'm sitting here telling y'all that, and I'm over here like, okay, when I'm done with this, I got to do this. And don't go to sleep until 2 a.m. But we as creators, I feel like we don't even believe that. But I do think with the surge of mental health creators that are kind of breaking the light of like, hey y'all, creating content is a lot. I think it is getting better. And I think how people kind of create content calendars of creating and filming, that might help with creating maybe seasons of pockets. But I think that is something that definitely needs to be explored because I just seen an article about a young lady. I don't know the creator's name, but she was 29 and she is no longer with us as of today because the comments and the content creation, and you hear those stories more often, and it just hurts my heart because I feel like our younger generation is like, this is their life. And we grew up before the internet, so we know what it's like to go outside, but those under us, this is their life. And so they don't know how to shut it off, and that scares me. But I think us older folks, yes, we are a little older, us older folks, you know, we do need to let them know, like, it's okay to take a break. It's okay, y'all separate the phone from you. So yeah, I think that's definitely something that, and I want to take that idea and kind of work with it and see what I can make out of it.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it too because you brought up a great point. Like the Lord rested on that seventh day, He rested. So if the Lord Himself like instituted that for us, He knew we needed it, and He Himself modeled it. So we need to model it. And I just think about like the ultimate Creator, um, who we believe is God, and if he if we are creatives and we're made in his
Hmm.
image, I just feel like, especially as Christian creators, that's a space and an opportunity for us to differentiate ourselves by taking a break, by taking rest and modeling that for the culture. Like why not?
I'm about to get off here and
So
make a
I'm you
video.
I'm like, and now I recognize that's easier said than done, but it's like we don't
No, yeah.
answer and we shouldn't answer to algorithms and machines. And that's something that I've even had to deal with because when you work in this space, yes, you're looking at views, you're looking at numbers because that unlocks opportunities. That's the world that we live in.
Exactly.
But it can also be extremely dangerous to your point where we've seen like huge million, number content creators say, "Hey, I'm burning out." So
Yep.
I think that there's a bigger conversation to your point about that. I totally feel you on that. So I'm curious, we talked about organization. This is something you and I have talked about before because I know I'm super organized and you are
Yeah.
not, and that is, of course, no shade. We both like stay in our lane and we know what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, we did our accountability groups together.
Hmm.
And I know that when you came there, you were like, I need to get organized, Michelle. Like, let's do this accountability group. I'm curious about your experience being a part of the accountability group and why you feel accountability is important, especially as you were describing you're a solo creator a lot of the times, like in this space.
Yeah. So whatever you doing, get you somebody to be accountable to. That's an actual person that will show up and do the things and hold you accountable, like Michelle was holding us accountable. At that time, I think I was like in between jobs, which is so crazy because I was I had a job as an assistant. So you got to be like top level organized, and I was
I
for somebody
remember that.
I was an assistant for somebody who is, like, y'all probably know this person. So I had to be on my P's and Q's. And
Yes.
it's like I I can be organized for other people, and through the group I realized that I like the idea of organizing, buying the planners, buying the pens, all the color, the post, that stuff. I love that stuff.
Mhm.
Getting into it, somebody gotta like you gotta like strong arm me to sit there. But the
Are you
group,
saying that's why you're more like,
yeah, that's why I'm all over the place. And
okay, more abstract?
abstract. That's it. That's it. That's it. But if you paying me to be organized, I could be organized. But what I liked about the group and the idea of the group is that it was individualized. So you could come to the group and you could say, "Hey, I'm trying to do this, this, and this," and then you set your goals, and then that's for you. It's not like a group thing, and I think that's where a lot of things where I fall short with a lot of like the organization things, because it's like a one type kind of thing. So I liked that it met you where you were at. That is what I appreciate about the group. Now, I started strong and then I toppled off because I wasn't in the mindset for that group at that time. I it was very like, yes, I am here to be organized, but I didn't know where I was going to be organized for. So it was like I had ideas and I had these things, but I didn't actually sit down and do the work. And that's where I fell short. But listening to the other ladies, I was like, "Oh wow, yeah, if I actually did the work, look at where it could go." So having an outside source really helps you. And in this content game, you kind of have to be or no you have to be organized to some degree, because if you're just making videos, I have so much footage from the last 5 years that I could edit and I wouldn't have to film another day in my life, but I'm not organized enough with that footage to put it out. So my biggest suggestion is to have a calendar, like a physical calendar that you see, not on your phone because you don't see it all the time, but to have a physical calendar up and just pick one day. If you're starting, just pick one day to film and just set that. Because if you start out with a structure, you will be so much further than a lot of people that are creating content, and then build from there. Because right now, the chaos that I have just around content creation, it could have been eliminated if I actually would have done the things. So, yeah, it's important, y'all.
Yeah, I think all of us have videos and pictures all over our phones and things like that. I know I do. So you can be, I feel like it doesn't matter where you are on the, spectrum, like organized, unorganized, like just having content. I even get sometimes overwhelmed. Like, what am I going to do with all this? And then it doesn't end up filming. So I'm really glad that you talked about even having other people hold you accountable, but even putting, a day on the calendar to hold your own self accountable in between times so that you can film that content. So as we're wrapping up, I'm curious like what you do outside of content creation. Sometimes we see you, exercising and working out on your social media or different things like that. So I'm curious like what you do outside of content creation that just makes you Genise.
Oh, that's actually a really good question because I struggle with. I'm in the process now because I don't know who I am, and I feel like growing up I was always told what hobbies to do, and so now like people ask me, "Oh, what do you like to do for fun?" And my answer would be like create content, and it's like now that that's my job, I would say traveling, all the things that come with traveling, going to the theme parks, and I like tennis, so I like getting into that. But circle back with me in a year or so, see what reading is cool too when I got the time. But yeah,
I think a lot of people can relate to what you said about having your hobbies like told to you or picked for you. And that was one of the reasons why I started Christ Over Culture, because I was feeling that too. It's like I felt, even by well intentioned, family, friends, like leaders, what to do. This is the pathway you should take.
yep,
And I had to find out my own path and my own interest. And instead of like doing what culture told me to do, what is God, what is Christ telling me to do, and like moving back in that direction. So I think a lot of people, I certainly can relate to that. And it's important to like go on your own journey and find your own way, staying close to God and like who He made you to be. So I'm really glad you brought that up.
yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Well, where can people find you if they're not already following you and keep up with all the latest things that you have going on?
Yeah, so Instagram and TikTok, it's the same. It's gonna be its and then Genise. Those are my two handles. And then I'm gonna come back to YouTube, but that one is Genise Media, the at Genise Media.
Well, Genise, thank you so much for being here. I just feel so honored and so full that you have shared your story with us. I just am so inspired by you because I see how you persist and you never give up on yourself. Like I remember, us being young and you loving, Disney Channel and even like That's So Raven and like the real life That's So Raven, being a Disney kid, to now being able to find your own voice in your own way in your own lane. So I just want to applaud you because when so many people could have given up, when you could have given up, you have not. And I think it's just a testament to keep going, keep betting on yourself, and like the Lord will have you, like He has you. And so just thank you so much for being here. And I just love you so much.
No, Michelle, you don't know how much I needed them words. The Lord He is using you, okay? But no, thank you so much for this. And y'all, listen, growing up with Michelle, she was always the pillar of listen, of what you need to strive to be. I'm like, child, I'm all over the place. But no, I really do appreciate you being a light in my life for so long and being a guiding force, even though we were in two separate colleges, were far apart. And I just, even you coming out here and us being able to kick it out here, I really do, like, you do not understand how the Lord, not me getting a little country there, how the Lord really just uses you as like a beacon to just like, it's okay, it's going to work out, you going to be all right. And I know you, them times you're just like, oh girl, let's hit it. I'm telling you, you just do not understand. So I'm just so honored to be here and to be able to share and to speak on your platform that you have built. And I'm just so like, oh my gosh, yeah, okay, I'm gonna land the plane. I'm gonna land the plane. But this, we standing on business on the Lord with Michelle. Yes.
Thank you, friend. I received that. I
Yeah.
thank you so much. You are a light, and I knew I was going to be okay because you were out in LA. So
Yeah.
thank you for being here. Make sure you check out It's Genise, support her journey, and remind yourself that you also have what it takes to do what God has called
Mm-hmm.
you to. I
Mm-hmm.
think that today has been such a great example of that. And we believe in you. We are cheering for you. Remember to keep
Yes.
Christ over culture, no matter what anyone else says, and just follow
Amen.
God's path, and you will be okay. We'll see you in the next
Yes.
episode. Follow Christ over culture on all the things, and we'll see you in the
Yes.
next time.
Yes. Bye,
Bye.
y'all.